In the previous lectures, we have defined knowledge as justified true belief, and we suggested that by justification, we should mean supported by the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a definition that has practical value. When we are in the pursuit of knowledge, what we care about is truth, and so we should reserve the claim of knowledge for those beliefs that we have very strong reason to say are true, without bogging ourselves down with really unlikely possibilities like the entire world being a computer simulation. What I want to do in this lecture is start to explore some possible sources of reasonable doubt, the kind of doubt that can potentially undermine claims of knowledge. One source of doubt is contradiction with other beliefs. Remember from Aristotle's laws of thought, we know that two contradictory statements cannot be true as a matter of logical necessity. So if something that you believe contradicts other beliefs or claims that you have some good reason to accept, then your belief does not count as knowledge. It is not justified beyond a reasonable doubt. Until you have done further investigation and figured out which belief to reject, you should not claim to have knowledge. What's extraordinary, and this is a point we will return to in detail in the next module, is that it is possible to raise doubt in this way, even about beliefs based on your senses. So for example, have a look at the two squares A and B in this image. If you're like most of my students and like me, you will say that A appears to be a darker shade of gray than B. But suppose that some respected authority figure, like a professor, tells you that the two squares are in fact exactly the same color. If you trust that person, you should now have some doubt, and that doubt should undermine your claim to have knowledge that square A is darker than square B. You can't claim to have knowledge until you gather more evidence to see which claim is correct. And in fact, in this case, your professor's claim is correct. The two squares are the exact same color. Here, let me show you the transition again. The appearance that square A is darker than square B is an illusion caused by the way your brain makes adjustments to your perception to account for the fact that B is in a shadow. In fact, there are lots of predictable ways that our brains can make mistakes and give us false perceptions. We will be discussing some more. Seeing, as it turns out, is not always believing. Along the same lines, another possible source of doubt is contradiction with established knowledge. If someone tells you something extraordinary, something that goes against what people have had strong reason to believe in the past, then that gives you some reason for doubt. That doesn't mean the person is wrong. It just means you need really strong evidence before you should accept their claim. For example, if someone tells you that they have the power to fly by flapping their arms, that goes against everything we know about physics and about human physiology. So you have a very strong reason to doubt their claim until they provide you with really strong evidence. The basic idea here is that we should be conservative about revising large portions of our belief structure. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. A third source of doubt is expert opinion. The simple fact is that when it comes to many topics, say climate change or immunology or engineering, the majority of us are not well informed enough to form good opinions on our own. In many areas, an advanced degree is required to form good opinions without help. So most of us have to rely on experts to guide us. But of course, the question of when and how to believe experts is a very complicated one. The philosopher Bertrand Russell provides these three principles for dealing with expert opinion. 1, when there is expert consensus about X, then the denial of X cannot be known. The point here is that expert opinion provides strong reason to believe something, and thus a strong reason to doubt the contradictory conclusion. 2, when experts disagree about X, non-experts cannot have knowledge about X. If the experts can't sort out what is going on, then neither can the layperson. No matter what you believe about X, you as a layperson have strong reason to doubt what you believe. And 3, when the experts agree that we don't have a basis for an opinion about X, non-experts should suspend judgment. If the experts say that some topic is beyond our current ability to have knowledge, then the best bet is that they are probably right. The smart thing to do is remain skeptical of all claims about that topic. So what are some good sources of belief? When can we have knowledge? Well, sensory perception is usually good enough to provide strong justification for belief. But I have to stress the usually. It is not infallible. Sometimes we can be mistaken about what we perceive, as we have seen. Introspection is another good source of belief. We usually know what is going on in our own heads. But again, not always. Sometimes we are mistaken about our own mental states. This is why the field of psychology is necessary. Reason is a good source of justification for belief. For example, if we can use logic or mathematics to prove some claim, then we have a strong reason to believe it. But again, this is not infallible. Sometimes logicians and mathematicians make mistakes. And finally, there is memory. If you can vividly remember something happening, that gives you a good reason to believe it. But once again, these beliefs can be doubted. Even memory is subject to large errors, as we will see.